Hi, I'm Inbredfreak, and today we're going to look at Bukkit plugins. Not looking at other people's plugins, but how to develop our own plugins for Minecraft. So to start with, we need to go and get Java, JDK, so we can actually build our plugin because it runs on Java. That's mainly because Bukkit itself and Minecraft are Java based. We also need to download Eclipse, the tool we're going to use to actually develop our plugins in. And we're also going to need the SDK for Bukkit, and we also need a test server to test on, so we're going to download Craft Bukkit as well. So first thing then, we're going to head over to our browser and we're going to go and download the JDK from oracle.com. The URL's there, so it's oracle.com, Tech Network, Java, Java SE, downloads index.html, and somewhere about halfway down the page you should see the JDK. You need to download that, agree, there should be an agree button here somewhere, there it is, accept license, and you need to find the version that you need to download for your operating system. I'm on a Mac. I've already downloaded the version for my Mac operating system, but yeah, click on that, install it, and it should be an instant process for you. There should be nothing to worry about. Just double click, install, and everything should be fine. Okay, so that's done. Once you've done that, you need to move on to downloading an IDE. I'll recommend Eclipse. You can use other NetBeans, and there's other IDEs out there that you can use. Eclipse is free, so nip over to eclipse.org to the downloads folder, and in here just grab hold of the the Eclipse IDE for Java developers. Okay, I've already installed mine, so but in this case, I'm going to, if you're downloading a fresh version, click on the operating system for you. It should be presented the right one for your operating system. If not, use the box up here. But I've already installed, so just another case of click on that, double click to open it up, install it, use all the default settings. You should be fine. After you've done that, go and create yourself an account on Bukkit.org, because when you create your plugin and you want to share it, you need to upload it somewhere. So go to dev.bukkit.org, create an account, and you should get a page where you can upload your plugins. And as you can see, I've got two plugins on the go here. I've got Challenge and Fart. Challenge is a recent one. See how well that's doing. Wait for it to load. 581 downloads, which is basically the Acorn Sapling plugin that used to run on the Inhaven in the Littlewood server, but now running as a public plugin and being basically showcased on the Pothycraft server. So if you want to see what it looks like, get yourself over to minecraft.pothycraft.net on Minecraft and check it out. And also we have, go and check the other plugins. Fart plugin. If you haven't come across this is just a bit of a fun plugin which basically allows you to fart in Minecraft. Yes, very childish, but necessary. We do need to fart every now and then. Okay, so you need to create an account on Bukkit Dev, so you can upload your projects here, so you can share them off to the public, into the community, so they can use your work, use your hard graft, and put it to some use as such. Of course, you can skip this step if you wish, if you only want to use plugins for your own server. When you're on the Bukkit website, you need to head down to this little link here, alternative versions, just so you can get the latest builds. Well, not the latest builds, but the builds that we're going to be working with. If you are watching this in a month's time, 2 months' time, whatever, you'll probably notice these will probably have moved on from what we're working with now. So just download, as long as these two versions are the same, of the two downloads we're about to download from this website, you shouldn't have a problem. It's when you start mix and matching issues arise. So we're going to be going with the 1.5.2 release 1. You need to click on that, download it, the big yellow button here. Obviously it might be green by the time you're watching it, or it might have moved on completely, and this might be 1.6, who knows. So download that. That's going to be for what's called the server itself, and you also need to download the API, which is Bukkit. So again, make sure you've got the same number. Click on it, download it, and then we'll we'll worry about that in a minute when we set up our what's called plugins. But they're the two files that you're going to need from Bukkit, and that should do you as far as downloads go. So what you need to do then is, once you've downloaded those files, make sure you've installed them all. So the JDK, Java JDK, double click that, run that through, use all the default settings. You should be fine with that. Once you've done that, you need to make sure you've downloaded Eclipse and installed that. Again, use all the default settings. Should be fine, no problems. As far as setting up the Craft Bukkit server and using the Bukkit API, a little bit more involved there. So what we need to do is head over to your main folders. Again, I'm just going to head over to my main drive, and in my main drive I should have a Bukkit folder. And in the Bukkit folder I've set up 3 folders. This is where I do all my Bukkit stuff. It just makes it all easy. All the servers are in the same place, all the APIs are in the same place, and all my files are in the same place. When you use Eclipse, you use workspaces. With workspaces basically mean you can separate projects that are Java, which are C++, which are PHP, and you have your own development environment for each different piece. This is my Bukkit workspace. So in here, you'll see all the plugins that I've worked on at some point over the year or two that I've been messing about with Minecraft. And in my servers folder are all the servers that I've used. You will find this becomes the bane of your life as far as what's called plugins go, always having to update for the latest version. So you're always installing the latest what's called servers. You can see I skipped a bit, but yeah, you'll be installing servers, testing your plugin, making sure they work on that, and obviously your API itself. These are the versions I've used from 1.24 to 1.52. So first thing to do is create these 3 folders inside a folder called Bukkit, somewhere on your system, maybe on your C drive. It could be anywhere, but I recommend somewhere nice and easy to find. So on your C drive, you're on Windows, create a folder called Bukkit. If you're on a Mac, just put it inside your main folder for your profile. In my case, it's Derek. Inside that, create 3 folders, one called API, one called servers, one called workspace. And what you need to do is, in the API, you need to create a folder for the version you've downloaded. I've created one called 1.52, because you will get releases in between these. I just bundle them together instead of having one big folder full of loads of jar files. But you need to put in the Bukkit jar into that folder that you downloaded. So you need to go off to your downloads folder, find that, dump it into the 1.5.2 folder. Once you've done that, you need to create a folder for your version here. So 1.52 release 1. I've dumped my jar file in here. This is for a backup. This isn't going to be the live version. I keep a backup of all the jar files that I've used, mainly because sometimes some people still use older versions. Like 1.47 is still, the main what's called recommended build. If an issue comes up and you've developed beyond that, so like my fart plugin and my challenge plugin all work on 1.52, but if a user comes back and says that I'm using 1.47 and I've got a bug and it keeps doing this, that, and the other, and you test it on 1.52, that might not be there. So you might need to have to reinstall 1.47 on your live server to test the plugin to try and find that bug so you can work out what's going wrong. So I always keep a backup. I know you could always go to Bukkit and download the what's called jar file again, but I like to have it on my system so it's nice and easy. And once you've created your 1.52 folder with the release number on it, also create a folder called live and dump your Craft Bukkit jar file into your 1.52 folder, then copy it and paste it into your live file, okay, live folder. You'll need to rename it craftbukkit.jar. Okay, that's the first thing you need to do. So what you downloaded is this with the release number on it. Just when you when you've copied that and pasted it into live, just rename it to craftbukkit.jar. And then what you need to do then is create a file called start_server.command. Once you've done that, this is for Mac. Obviously, if you're doing for PC, you might have to look up for a PC version of this. I think you've got to run it as a bat file, not a command file. And this might be slightly different, but this is for Mac. It works for me. Plenty of tutorials out there how to actually set up a startup script for a Minecraft server. But that's my setup. And when you've done that, you double click on that, it will find the jar file and it will create all these files and folders for you. Okay, don't have to worry about it because it's running on your home public network. Home private network, get that right. You don't have to worry about security stuff. It's unlikely anyone's going to get access to it from the outside. So it's just for you for testing and it should be great. The important part is plugins folder. This is where you're going to actually install your plugins. I've gone away and installed the Essentials, so I've downloaded the Essentials plugin. And what else did I install? And Vox. No, that's all part of it. I've just installed Essentials, which has got all this stuff in it, and I've got some of my own plugins in it as well. So that's my rubbish bin as such. The Inhaven one, which is again, that should be in there really by now. Stop. Oh, it's already in there. I'll sort that out later. But I've got my challenge in here, and oh, fart's been taken out for some reason. Okay, but that's the important folder. That's where we're going to be saving our plugins to. Okay, and just double check, make sure there's nothing else you need to know in here. No, you might want to add yourself to your Minecraft name to the ops text, just to kind of like so you can actually have server commands. I think that's the only other thing I can think of. Yep. That's it. So there's your live server setup. Once you've double clicked on that, that should run your server. So I'll just show you that now. Double click on that. It will run the script. As you can see, it's setting up a server. And they are, I think, come on, a little bit more. What's there? Done. There you are. When you see that done, there we are. We are finished. And just to show you that works, I'll also need to show you how to find your server as well. Yeah, okay, so pressing wrong buttons today. There we are, Minecraft. I'll log in. Into multiplayer. There's my home test server. And if I just go to edit, there's my local address, so 1.9. This is only local to your own personal network, so you try and connect to this. It'll only try and connect to your network at that address, which you'll probably find. This might be the right setup for you, it might not be. If you want to know what your IP address on a Mac, I think you, on a PC, if you open up your command line, I think if you go to the run command in your start menu, so you go to start, run, and put in IP config, you should get your command line up, and it should tell you a load of information, and somewhere on there will be an address similar to this, 192.168.1, and it'll probably have something like 1.8, anything up to 255 should be up there, on there somewhere. Okay, so that's the address that you need, and then the default port address, which is :25565, that should be the same for any test server. Okay, on a Mac, I could actually show you on Mac what I do. I go to System Preferences, go to Network, and there's my address there. So whatever's written there on your IP address is what you use for your test server. So nice and easy. So copy that, set your server up, and there we go. We've got a little test server up and running. Yay. Hello. Yes. As you can see, I tend to do a lot of logging in and then not do anything because I'm testing commands or whatever. And all these holes get blown around me like creepers because I'm not paying attention. Anyway, we're not here to play. So that's your test server setup. Just going to shut this down using the done, stop, not done. Just stopping the server. Done. Come on. Taking its time today. There we go. Log out. Should be one little last bit. Oh, there we go. Process complete. It's done. Now I can shut that down. That's good. Right. So that's everything set up. We've got our API set up, got our server set up, and this still should be empty. Don't worry about that for now. We're going to set up something there in a minute. Okay. So the next thing to do is move on to Eclipse. So where's Eclipse gone? I haven't used it for a while. There we go. Eclipse. And inside Eclipse, you can see I've got a few projects already set up. I'm going to delete this one because I'm going to start from fresh. This is me reminding myself, you know, what I'm going to be doing today. Okay, so you'll probably get a similar interface. You might get a start page if I can show you that. I don't think window. I can't remember where it is. Somewhere in here you can open up the start page again, and I can't find it. I think it might be in preferences, but you might get a start page. Close the start page down. You should get an interface similar to this. Okay, you might have a couple of extra windows on the side. Just shut them down. The only thing you need really is the Package Explorer, the editor itself, where you're going to actually see where you're actually coding, and your problems and stuff like that down here. Okay, the side bits you don't really need for now. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is actually set up a project, and this one's just going to be a test project. I'm not going to create anything special here, so I'm going to go to right click inside this window, or you can go up to the top here and go File, New. We're going to create a Java project, and you're going to give it a name using a capital for the first letter and capital for any word thereafter in the name. So test plugin, I'll do test plugin, and we're going to create a project name. Again, make sure you use capitals. It's just good practice. Make sure you browse to your workspace folder. So double click on that. This is where you're actually going to save your projects. I've got a test plugin in here already, and I have to create a different name. Okay, I'm going to create this test plugin 2. That's probably be okay. The JRE, which is the JDK that you've downloaded, should be detected. It should be on 1.7 anyway. Do have other versions there, but just use the latest version. It's just easy. Project layout, create separate folders for source and class files. And then, if I remember rightly, project 2.0. Right, I've got to reselect and open. Why are you being silly? Plugin 2. Don't want to test and browse 2. So I have to create. It's been a while since I've done this, so let's create the folder. Open. User blah 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 overlaps the location of another project. Test plugin 2. Alright, let's cancel this and try that again. Alright, file, new, Java project, test plugin 2, and it's going to go to here, which will be test plugin 2. I'm going to delete that. I can't delete it, can I? Can I? No, I can't. Open. Right, trust me to mess up. Into Bukkit, into workspaces, and test plugin 2. Bye. Don't need you. Right. Give it another go. Java project. Test plugin 2. And I'm going to go to workspaces, open, spaces, new folder, test plugin 2, create, open. Still giving me problems. Why? And see, I don't understand that. That's the same address as that. So why is it not causing a problem? Cancel. Right. What you can do is if you go up to Eclipse, I think it's File, switch workspaces, Other. Set the workspace by browsing to your workspace folder. There's my workspace folder, and set Open. Once you've done that, click OK. It will restart your Eclipse. And that will import all the projects that you've got set to be live in your workspace. I do have more, but they're hidden away. And then when you come to do your file, new Java project, put your plugin name in, plugin 2. You can leave the set default because it'll find the workspace for you. That's a cheap way around it. I don't know why it was causing a conflict. I have no idea. And that's okay. That's all I need to know. Everything's okay. Again, you've got the option to select the environment that you need to use. Just use 1.7. Go on to next. We have to select in sources, which are our libraries as such. So our sources is okay. Our projects are okay. In our library, we've got the 1.7 JDK, but we also need to link in the actual Bukkit API. So you need to add a jar, and you need to, whoops, cancel. You need to add class folder. No, cancel. Add external class folder. No, I've forgotten. Been a while. Add external jars. There we go. So head over to your API, head over to your latest Bukkit build. It's 1.52. Select the latest one that you've got. The one we're using is 1.52 release 1. And that's now imported into the project. Now that's imported into the project, you now have access to everything that's which got all the API commands that are available through Bukkit itself. So you've got access to the chat, you've got access to login stuff, events, zombies, creeper, which called entities, all that type of stuff. You can hook into that now and start using that inside your code. Don't have to worry about that. Click finish, and there we're done. Okay, so the first thing we've got to do is set up some packages. We need to create a new package. And what you need to do is actually give a unique address to the storage folders of how you're going to actually package your project. Okay, traditionally, developers normally have websites, so they use their reverse name domain name of their their domains. So mine's www.derekobrien.net. So I'd normally use net.derekobrien. Then the type of project, the project name, and then the actual class file type stuff. But if I'm doing a Bukkit plugin, I'd normally use Inbredfreak, because I've actually got Inbredfreak.com as well. And then it would be Bukkit, and then it would be whatever the project name is, which is test plugin 2, and that'd be my structure as such. So you have to come up with your own identity. It could be the fact is you might use I don't know, your email address. So it might be Gmail. So let's do it. If it was an email address, com.gmail. And then whatever your name is. So I don't know. I've got a Gmail account. Oh no, I haven't, have I? Oh, I might have an email called inbredfreak@gmail.com. So it would be the reverse of that. Gmail, Inbredfreak. That should be unique enough for your projects. I'm going to stick to com.inbredfreak because that's where all my projects are set up. Okay, so it's going to be a Bukkit plugin, and the plugin name is test plugin 2. So I can finish that. And what I'll do is I'll actually create a folder structure for your project. Inside that, you need to create a new class file. And the class file is going to be called the name of your project 2. And cancel. We ain't going to worry about that because I'm going to paste some code in a minute, which you'll have access to. That should be all right. No, it won't do it. Okay, don't worry about that because we're gonna be changing it anyway. And what that'll do is actually create a file for you, which is going to be our Java file, and it will actually import the package that we need, which is the actual base location for this, and a public class. What we're going to do is change that a little bit. So there's the document class. There we go, document class. I'm going to copy this. I will make this available to you, so you can copy it. But it will need editing, and I'll show you what you'll need to have for editing. To start with, you need to make sure your package is pointing to the right location. Remember, I named mine test plugin 2, so it needs to be test plugin 2. And obviously, this will change slightly depending on what you've named. You need to import Java util logger if you want to log things to the console. That's your output console. We might have a look at that if we get time. And we also need to link to 2 classes that are part of the API for Bukkit itself, and that is the plugin description file and the plugin description file and the Java plugin itself. This is also going to be a 2, and I've got another 2 somewhere. I'm sure I have. No, that should be all right. Save. Why can't you find that Java plugin? Oh, test plugin 2. I've renamed that wrong, so I need to rename that. Again, capitals. This is why you need to do your capitals, so things don't break. Okay, so public. It's got to do that one again as well. There we go, save. Test. Oh, no, that's right. I'm doing the wrong one. T. That's right. Test plugin 2. All right, that don't exist, so don't worry about that. We haven't done that bit yet. Okay, so let's get myself back on track. So make sure you point to the right test folder. Hopefully you name things right. Okay. Import your logger and also import the 2 plugins, which are classes that we're going to need. Your public class is going to be a class file, which is test plugin 2. It's going to be the same name as your file name, and it's going to extend the Java plugin, which is going to be the plugin that we're actually going to be extending off of, which is Bukkit itself. Okay, we're then going to create a logger variable. So we're going to create a public logger, which is a log. That's the name we're going to be using. Okay, and basically we're going to use that. We're going to create an instance of logger, which is something you can tap into in which is called Bukkit, and then we're going to use this.log as far as a reference point to actually attach to that and send things to the log itself. Okay, 2 things you do need to have in your folder is public override, public void enabled, and then a closing bracket, and also an override for public void undisabled. These are 2 functions that you can't not have in your plugin. This is what basically happens when your plugin gets enabled, and when it gets disabled, this is what happens. As a basic default setting, I would have that this.logger equals this.getLogger, so it passes the logger from the Java plugin to that variable, so you've got access to it, so we can output stuff to the actual console. I'll show you that in action in a bit. And we also want to get a reference to the actual description of the plugin and stuff like that. So to get access to the plugin's information file, we actually use the plugin description file class. We create a variable called PDF file, which is plugin description file, not PDF as in the sense of Adobe PDF. So we get a PDF file, and it's going to return the description from the PDF file, basically, the plugin description file. That gets passed into that variable, and that variable then gets outputted by saying, okay, go to the PDF file variable and get the name of the plugin, and then output the version of the plugin, which is then PDF file.getVersion, and then tell the console that it's been enabled, so it has been enabled. So that is all one line in theory, so that could be like that, but I've shortened it down so make it a bit more easier to read. So that's what happens every time the plugin gets enabled. All we're going to do is notify the server that the plugin's been enabled, and then when the server gets shut down, it announces this function, and anything inside this function gets fired. In this case, exactly the same thing, but it disables. It just doesn't disable the plugin, but it announces that the plugin has been disabled. Oh, yeah, okay. So we're going to save that. Save. Got no errors. Make sure your problems folder hasn't got any errors. If I undo this and save it, you'll see I'll get a little red X here, and I'll also get problems here. This comes in very handy to find problems. If you get a little error, double click on it. It should highlight where the problem is. Okay, so again, showing that there's the problem. Okay, for our case, we're going to comment this out. Okay, so we're not using it at the moment. But that's the basics as far as getting your file set up. Before you go any further though, before we can actually publish this, we also need to create some more files, one more file at least. I'm just going to go to this file project. Let's open this up. Open project, and I'm going to look down here and just grab this. I'm going to copy this, and in the test plugin 2 folder, I'm going to paste that, and I'm going to open it up as well. And as you can see, this has all got my stuff in it for my fart plugin, so we need to update this. So test plugin 2, it's got to be the address, so Bukkit, and then it's going to be test plugin, all lowercase, dot, then the class file itself, document class plugin 2. You've got to have that twice. That'll be to the folder and then directly to the plugin itself, to the actual class file itself. If you just do one, it won't work. Okay, so that's very important, that part. The release version for this is version 1, so version 0.1, so this is more of an alpha release. The author, you put your name in. Description, again, just having a test plugin, and this is for 1.52 release 1. Okay, and then the commands. We're only going to have one command denial, so I'm going to delete that. So these are the commands that get executed on your plugin. So my test command is just going to be something random. I'm going to call it, I don't know, TP2. That will be probably the command. So when people put in /TP2, they're going to use our commands that we're going to use for our plugin. So I need to update this to show the usage. Just TP2, that's it. Description, output something into the chat. Okay. Permissions, so this could be test plugin 2, and then the permission enable, maybe. It can be anything you want. So this, if you give, when you configure your website, when you get into kind of configuring your website for groups and stuff, you can give a player or a group this permission, and only those people will have access to this this command, basically. Permission message, you don't have permission to TP2. Okay. Right, that's enough. Okay, so that will do you as far as your plugin. Make sure you save that as plugin.yml inside your test plugin 2 folder. Okay, so so far you should have a plugin.yml, which has got all this in here, and be very careful. 1, 2, 3, 4 has to be spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. This has to be 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. And again, these are all divisions. Just I would highly recommend what you call it, copying and pasting. That's a P. Copy and pasting a previous plugin YML and just editing what's there, and then you don't have to worry about the spacing issues. Okay, and just keep to the spacing and paddings that are already there. If you want to put in a second command, copy, paste, change that to, I don't know, TP3, and then that'd be TP3, TP3, no, that'd be TP2, enable 3, maybe, and TP3. You get the idea. Copy and paste job. Okay. Make sure you've got your structure set up, make sure you've got your test plugin set up, and then you're pretty much done, I think. So what we're going to do is right click on test plugin 2. Make sure you right click on the top folder, and then you click on export, and then you click on Java. So make sure Java's opened up. Go to jar file, and then click next. Then you need to select your project if it isn't already selected. Okay, so we want to make sure we're exporting the source for this. If you do get anything else, all you really need here at the moment is the plugin YML. These are made by Eclipse, so we don't really need them, but it will not hurt to leave them in. If you're optimizing your plugin to try and get the smallest file size, you could probably uncheck those, and probably other, files that suddenly appeared in your project that don't need to be there. But don't worry if they are selected. I'll leave it selected. Make sure export generated class files and folders are actually ticked, so you can deselect everything else. Make sure you are then exporting to your live server, so make sure you point into your live server folder, into the plugins folder, and then make sure you're saving out as your own plugin name, so test plugin 2. There we go. You can browse to it, so we can actually select through to Bukkit, servers, live, down to, oh there we are, plugins, and then save it there, cancel. But I'm just doing it manually. Compress the contents of the jar file and overwrite existing files without warning. Untick that if you're a bit unsure about things. I know for a fact there's no other test plugin to my jar file, and I know if I'm going to be saving this over an old version, I know I want to save over an old version. Okay, so I'm happy with that, and then we can click finish. That's done. Okay, this isn't going to do much in our server. We're going to come back to that in a minute. So what we're going to do is close down our console, and we're going to go back to our servers, live, and run our server again. And the important part, if I can find my server script, there we go. We're going to look here for test plugin 2. There we go. Test plugin loading test plugin 2 0.1. So there's our plugin. It's now getting loaded. And somewhere down here, test plugin 2 enabled plugin version 0.1. That's the actual server telling us. And then this is the text that we had inside the on enable to output has been enabled. So now the plugin has been enabled. Okay, and that's it. That's all our server. That's all our plugin does at the moment. It's even pointless going into Minecraft to test it. It won't do anything. Okay. What I will do is stop the server, and then we should see it being stopped as well. So there we are. Test plugin has been disabled. So our plugin has been enabled and it has been disabled. Okay, job done. Right, let's actually make it do something. Okay, so we can minimize that. Go back into Eclipse. And what we need to do is jump into our folder here, our file here, I should say. With anything, what you call it, plugins, it's best to set up executors, class files, to handle commands. That way, when a command is which got passed in, a set file deals with that. Okay, and then we can actually, you can do whatever you want to do with it. In this case, we created a TP2 command. Okay, so what we're going to do is every time someone calls the TP2, it's going to set the executor, okay, to be test plugin. And then we're going to create it to executor, okay, and then we're going to pass a reference of this file into that plugin. Okay, so we're going to save that. It's going to show us an error at the moment because this doesn't actually exist. So if I actually do quick fix, and it doesn't give me the option. Okay, so I'm going to copy that, and then I'm going to create a new class file called test plugin to executor and finish it. Okay, so there's our test plugin to executor. And again, we've still got an error because we're actually passing in a reference to this file into this file, but we haven't actually set it up for that at the moment. So what I'm going to do now is go and get the pre-written code down here. Again, there will be a little bit of editing for this. Here, paste. First thing to do is update to be test plugin 2, and also to be test plugin to executor. Test plugin to executor. And we're going to unreference that and that if we wanted to use it. Okay, so test plugin 2, that's meant to be, by the way, and test plugin 2 is there as well. Okay, so what we're doing then, we're again pointing to our own project folder. This is the folder where we've got the actual file in. Okay, so all that there should be the same as all that there. We're importing, which quite some more stuff from Bukkit itself, from the SDK. So we're going to go to the command executor, command sender, and player. These things you're going to need for this plugin. Okay, depending on what plugin you're developing, you have to import different files. And unfortunately, I can't sit here and go through every single one of them, every single one of them with you. It's going to be a case of trial and error and a bit of research. That's going to, solve that for you. We then set up our test plugin to executor, which implements the command executor. Okay, we're going to create a variable called plugin, so we can have a reference to the plugin that we passed into this, which basically is what we passed in. Whoops, I can shut that down now. What we passed in here, which is this file, has been passed into this plugin and then passed to this variable, which is then held in reference to plugin. So this .plugin, now I could just reference that plugin at any point by going to this .plugin inside this file. So the first thing we're going to do is override the onCommand method, which is part of the Bukkit, which call it commands as such. We're going to pass in sender, the console, or the command I should say, the command label, and any arguments with it. Okay, this is all default. You've got to fill that in as it is. Okay, so we're going to grab an instance of the player that actually gets passed in. So the first thing we'll do is actually create a variable of a player, named player, and then I'm going to strict type it to the sender. So where's the sender? There we go. The command sender. That's the player who initiated the command on the console or inside the chat. Okay. We're then going to check if the command label is equals ignore case. So if someone passed in TP2, we're going to say, okay, do something. Okay. They could typed in TP2. It means exactly the same thing. Or they can typed in TP2 or TP2. It doesn't matter. It will all be the same thing. Okay. Ignore equals case. Okay. It's equals ignore case, I should say. So no matter what they type in, if it is stripped down to lowercase and it matches that, we're going to do everything inside this if switch. Okay, which is the first thing we're going to do is we're going to check the length of the commands, and if it's 0, which means it's only that command only. Okay, we're just going to type out hello to the actual console. So we're going to go to the player, and the player is going to send a message called hello. Okay, if it's equal to on, okay, it's going to say test plugin 2 is on, and I'm going to copy that. And if we type in TP2, whoops, undo, copy, and hang on, let me just double check this. If commands, yeah, so we pass in one parameter and it's on, it's going to do that. If it's going to be else, and we're going to pass in something else here, else, if, actually I'll just copy this. Else if it's off, and then I can today, off today, and I can also do same thing here. I'm going to copy that to that, that to that. So else if, let me make sure this is all right, this doesn't look right. Else if, there we go. Else if blah 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 blah. I don't know why that's there like that. There we go, it's a bit more readable. Okay, so we pass in on, it'll turn around and say test plugin is on. And if we pass in off, that's not right. Off, test plugin is off. We're only sending a message, we're not actually turning the plugin on and off. That would require config file stuff, which we're not going to touch today. And case 2, if it's equal to on and you ask for today, it'll turn around and say test plugin is on today. And if you pass in TP2 off today, then it'll output plugin 2 is off today. Okay, not exactly a useful plugin, but you know it's useful as far as showing you how commands are captured and checking to find out what command was put in and then being able to do something with that. Okay, ignore this little small triangle at the moment. That's just saying that we're not actually using this. That's hence the reason why it was commented out in the first place. The value of the field test plugin to execute plugin is not used, which means we've actually created an instance for this plugin, but we're not actually used it anywhere in our code. Okay, but it's there if we wanted to. We could actually put out, I don't know, something along the lines of, and this dot plugin dot get name, maybe, yeah, dot get name dot to string to uppercase. That'll do. There we go. Now I'll just tag in the name of the actual plugin onto our output for off. Yeah, for just off. Okay, actually we'll put it on both of them. Actually, we could have used it there, couldn't we? But never mind, it's done. It's only a demo. Right, so again, export. So right click on test plugin 2 folder, export. Make sure on jar file, click next. Deselect any files that you don't want to actually import out, which you can leave them all ticked, or you can actually deselect the ones that you don't, you don't want. Make sure you're actually saving as the right file name and not a previous plugin that you've been worked on. Been there, done that, painful, end up deleting a jar file that I didn't need to delete. But once you have made sure the address is right and the file name's right, click finish, and we're done. What we can do now then is minimize that. We can pop over again to our folders, start up our server. I know why it's slow now, because I'm meant to be using one of these plugins. Pothycraft runs off a server, off a database, and it can't find the database. So it's probably slow whilst it's trying to wait to connect to that. Okay, so once we've done that, we can actually pop into Minecraft. It's got a server running. And there we go. Log in. There's our test server. There we go. It was a bit too small. I was hoping to... That'll do. Okay, and I'll move that over so you can see the command actually doing the stuff. So I'm going to connect to the server. It should let me know that somebody's connected. Logged in. There we go. Inbredfreak's now logged into the server on the console. These things are still here. Right. Let's test our plugin. So TF2. Unknown command. Oh dear. We broke something. Great. TP2, isn't it? Look, I think of the Team Fortress. Nothing. Oh, there we go. Hello. And we've got TP2. TP2. Hello, TP2. Why is it output TP2? That's something I didn't expect. Well, let's try one of the parameters to pass in. So TP2 on. Test plugin 2 is on. TP2 off. And there's the uppercase get name that we've done for this plugin to make it, which will show you that you can actually reference the plugin. And TP2 on. What was the command? Was it today? I think it was today. Yeah, test plugin 2 is on today. And TP2 test off today. And test plugin 2 is off today. I just need to work out why it's outputting TP2. Okay, so look down through and yeah, okay, I think that's what's causing it. Okay, when I normally write my plugins, I normally have captures. So I've got a default that will capture if a command sent in that doesn't exist, it'll say, sorry, command doesn't exist, back to the player. Or if it has 2 arguments and so I'll do one here on this one. Copy, probably best do it this way. Did not understand. Try again. Copy that. Actually, copy all of that. Copy. Whoops. Is it copy, not cut? Copy. And the same there as well. And that's okay. So no extra parameters passed in. It will always say hello. If one parameter is passed in and it's on and off, it will do these things. If you pass another parameter in that is not on and off, then it will do this bit here, saying don't understand. That's it. Return. And then return true. Copy. Actually, no, I don't do that. I'll do it at the bottom. Okay, and I'll do a full capture, return true there and everything. Okay, so everything gets handled that way. So no parameters get passed in, I'll do a hello. If on and off get passed in, I'll do what I need to do. If anything else, if any one other command gets passed in, then I'll do something else. If 2 parameters get passed in and it's on and today or off and today, I'll do something. If any other 2 parameters get passed in, then that should be there. Don't think. That looks like an extra bracket. That should be there. Yeah, should be good. Then any other 2 parameters get passed in, then again I'll pass out I didn't understand. And if anything else gets passed in, I'll need to copy that again. I'll also pass in a did not understand. Try no. You want from me. Try using using a valid command, idiot. Couple exclamation marks to prove my point, to get my point across. We're saying prove my point. Okay, what do you want from me? Try. Make sure this is for 2. So did not understand the 2 params and did not understand the param. Try again. So we made it a bit more unique. So we can now save those out, export as a jar file. Next. Again, I'm going to take those out because I don't need them. Test plugin 2, make sure that path's right, very important. Click export. I can minimize that now. I can go back to my startup script. And whilst that's starting up, I can get Minecraft going again. And let's get this all reasonably sorted out. Now it's minimize that. Right, so that's all done and ready for us. Let's log in. And multiplayer, server's ready for us. And hopefully, now we're returning true, not false. We shouldn't output the command. Basically, what it does is we're passing in a bit of text and it's replacing it with another bit of text. Just like you're running a command. You don't want to keep actually outputting the command every time you actually run the command. By returning true, it says, yeah, I understand that. I'm going to do this instead. So don't bother outputting the command that you've inputted. Okay. So by returning false, it turns around and says, I didn't understand that, you better carry on as normal. So just like you would type hello, it just types out the command that you typed in. So TP2 on. Plugin is on. Let's try TP2 today, because that's not a single command that we normally have. Did not understand the param, try again, because it's a single param. And then we try TP2 on today. That's 2 of them. Test plugin 2 is on today. TP2 off is off. I think we deleted today on that. Oh, I need to say it now. I'm rambling. Off today. There we go. Okay, the one it's off today. And let's put 2 params in that we don't understand. Let's put in, I don't know, maybe maybe not. There we go. 2 parameters were passed in. Did not understand the 2 parameters. Try again. Now let's try and pass in more than 2 parameters. TP2, maybe not this. So 3 parameters passed in. What do you want from me? Try using a valid command, idiot. Okay, so we've captured all the ifs and buts as such that might happen with the plugin. So that's going to be your basic setup for every plugin, really. As far as capturing commands, it's all there, and all you will need. Let's just get rid of the server. So that's everything. Everything from setting up your development environment, setting up a server, and etc. As far as the basics go. And there you go. Modding in a nutshell. If you like the recording, don't forget to hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. I appreciate it. It means a lot to us. And yes, don't forget to leave a comment. Tell us what you think. If you make something or you're planning to make something, let me know. Keep me informed. And if you put something up at Bukkit, link to it. Let me know about it. If I like it, I'll probably make a video. Show other people what you've created after learning what you've learned from me. It's all good stuff. So yeah, until next time, yeah, I'll see you another time. Bye.